Good afternoon. Today we will be hosting a session on interfaith strategy to end SGBV. We will be drawing lessons from what we have done as the YW4A in terms of ending SGBV. And our strategy is unique because we work with faith collaborators, women rights organizations to make sure that young women have the power and the resources they need to fight this vice in the society. So today we will have a panel consisting of a young woman from a YW4A program. Her relevance to the process is that she shares a youth perspective to the issues of engaging faith-based actors in ending sexual and gender-based violence. We will also have representatives from one of our faith communities who works with faith actors to end sexual and gender-based violence, a women rights organization and the experiences in the process, and a reverend/faith activist who has done a lot of work in ending sexual and gender-based work and gender justice programs across the country.
We hope to amplify the voices of young women in advocacy and to increase their participation in decision-making spaces and to eliminate sexual and gender-based violence. Okay? We are doing this through four core ways. The first one is to use faith-based actors to change the narrative and the norms and the practices with regards to young women's rights. The second one is that we are strengthening young women's leadership capacity by using a model we call Rise Up. The fourth one is that we are building the advocacy capacity of women's rights organizations and faith-based actors to actually be the champions for against gender-based violence. We agree that to begin with, that the issue of sexual and gender-based violence is enormous. And what we are hoping today to do is to acknowledge that we can no longer be silent as we are called to uphold human dignity for all creation. Okay? Today's panel, we will have a panel discussion, and that's why we have seats at the front. Today's panel will reflect on the experiences in working as faith actors, to reflect on the experiences on working on gender-based violence. So they will share their experiences, the outcomes, and the places where they feel they can apply more pressure or do a few more things to end this vice in our society.
Hello, my name is Modi Enosambaraza. I'm the founder and executive director for Young Women Christian Association of South Sudan. We are here today for this faith-based interfaith conference, which of course pertaining how we can unify and then look at gender equality in relation to faith. This program is really very crucial. As you see, many women are Christians, and most of the people who actually adore and then worship God are women. And then with this, majority of them are kind of marginalized because of some of the things. But now this conference is bringing us of how we can be able to unify and then actually promote gender equality even in a faith-based settings. So this conference is very crucial for all of us, as we have seen women are participating, even the faith community, including the Christians, the Muslim are there, which of course is very good. And then the issue we are discussing is like the gender inclusivity that can be able to allow women to be also active and then equally participating, whether in faith or observing their rights at every level. So this conference is very crucial and very important for us to progress ahead.
This country is a patriarchy system, whereby the system is the culture is more observed. Like, not really, women are not given all the chances. Sometimes you see that in South Sudan, you do not have a right to choose your partner. And then girls are auctioned from age like 14. So long as you start getting menstruation, then you are able to get married. And then the highest bidder will get the chance no matter how old the person is. I developed my interest in gender equality when I was a small girl. I was somebody who argued a lot with boys. And then my mother would tell me, why are you arguing with boys? And then I was saying like, why? And then Mama would say, you are not supposed to argue with boys because they are bound. They are right. Then say, why are they right when they are even, I know that they are wrong. They said, because they are men. You cannot argue with men. This question, this answer did not satisfy me. I asked questions, and then I started developing interest of knowing why women are not supposed to argue with men. This program is specifically for young girls. This is where they talk about issues affecting their lives, and then they can lobby at that level for education and other things for themselves. This is purely young women forum. And then we have a program also with the YW4A now, empowering and training champions who are advocating for the rights of young women at the grassroots level. And then we make sure that these champions are now knowing their rights and then now challenging the system, which of course is oppressive to most of the women. And then another one is like an example that we have achieved shortly is like in the national ministry. There's a minister, and then he beat his wife and pierced her. And then has joint advocacy. All us as women and young women came together to at least demonstrate against this act, because he is somebody who is in the government at the national level, and then he is now beating his wife. What will the ordinary person know if a minister is beating the wife? So these are the achievements that we have done with a lot, but this is the specific one that I choose to share with you here. And then it is not easy. The challenges are so many. Working in a patriarchy system, you find out that you are challenged. I've been challenged most of the time. And then when we come to challenges, I'll talk about it. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for this opportunity. Actually, I was lucky that I started my work in development in the area of women's rights. Before, I was leading a program for fighting domestic violence against women in Egypt. Actually, it was working through four main pathways. First pathway, it was tackling families. When we talk about domestic violence, it's not just related to women. We need also to engage men. So we were targeting families as wife and husband, and we used to raise awareness about rights, about gender equality, and about also how to deal with each other. So we give them some communication skills, because sometimes when we ask the husbands why you are treating your wife like this way, they said, is there another ways? So they raised up on this. They saw their parents doing this. So actually they don't have these skills of communication. So when you raise awareness about these issues, you feel you are doing something needed for those families. Other pathway, we were targeting faith leaders. We engaging faith leaders through this process also, and encourage them to reach community through their preaching upon women's rights and fighting domestic violence from a religious perspective. Also, we were engaging lawyers at the connected lawyers with the WROs, women rights organizations, to have like a legal committee within each organization to build or to raise awareness about legal issues regarding women and rights, and used to support especially vulnerable women, because sometimes if the woman need to advocate her rights, she doesn't have the facilities or maybe the knowledge as well as the finance support for this. So we have these committees to support women advocating their rights legally. Other pathway or last pathway was talking about media, how to engage media and how to deliver messages through media tools we have. and especially as we are a media center, we use the media as a strong tool for advocating women's rights. We have lots of media products as series, TV shows and talk shows, as well as social media campaigns. We were lucky that during the first lockdown of COVID, we had the social media campaign targeting fighting FGM. And actually, why we were lucky? Because on that time, people were locked down at home and they used to go through social media in a massive way and used it very commonly during their daytime. And actually, this has made lots of engagement for this social media campaign, and the result was wonderful. They used to engage and ask, and what's your proof about this? It's not religious, it's religious. And we go through this debate with audience, and actually we have got many good feedback from that after that. Yeah, you're asking about challenges while work with women's rights. Yeah, actually, it's not that easy when you feel that you are need to have a space within the community which is more a masculine space. So as we are fighting to be here inside, and we are not just seeking for a space, we are seeking for the equality in this space. So of course we are facing some resistance, maybe also from religious leaders, some resistance from the community, some resistance from men themselves, because they see you're gonna empower our wives, so they will not be obedient, they will not be supporting us as before. This empowerment is not good for the family. So when you discuss for them and elaborate that it will be more powerful for the family, it will be supporting more her family, she will be economically empowered, she will be having good knowledge how to raise her children, and all of these issues discuss together with men and engage them. Actually, as I talked from the beginning, we have to engage them to be aware of what's happening. They somehow become posted, and some of them start to support the process of empowering women. So actually, it's not that easy, but while working together, I think it becomes better and better.
Good afternoon. My apologies for joining the panel late. I tried to be here as close to 4 as possible. I made it. And then you have many venues, so I got to another venue. And I was just sitting there waiting for Catherine to appear, only to be told Catherine is moderating a session. So my apologies for that. As you've been told, my name is Nelson Makanda. I work and serve at the Evangelical Alliance of Kenya. The Evangelical Alliance of Kenya is an ecumenical movement that brings together about 900 denominations that are evangelical and Pentecostals in Kenya. Together, about over 50,000 congregations across the country, and a population as at 2019 that confessed to the census that they are evangelicals, about 20.4, which may be close to 12 million people today. So that's the community that I lead and engage. Of course, women are more than men in church, but usually men are the ones who sit this way. So I'm feeling a bit lonely. It's usually men sitting this way and women this way. So this is a good platform, Catherine. I appreciate this extremely. Allow me to just say, I have benefited a lot from what I came and found. Is it Nagwa? Or Modi? It is Modi and Nagwa. Yes, the things that you are saying, very refreshing. I'm very refreshed by that clip to see that within this space, it's possible to have Christians and Muslims acting together and even exercising things that are devotional. Singing is devotional, that they can actually occupy same space and express their worship within a mixed community, and for me that is extremely gratifying. And just God bless your efforts. We have lessons to learn from what you are doing. I would like to have that full clip just for my own use and encouraging ecumenical engagement, because I'm also involved at the Interreligious Council of Kenya, which is a communion of all faiths. I think the church in Kenya, as I have related with it and as I have known and as I've acted within that space, is an agent of change. If there's an institution that has impacted social norms, practices, and cultures in this country, I think the church is one of those. Many of you here will agree with me that at the beginning of the century, many communities in Kenya practiced FGM, wife inheritance, and things like that. But where that has been transformed, it hasn't been because of a civil society or government. It has been because of the church. And the places where these practices continue strongly, you can actually associate it with the weakness of the church within those communities. Either present, but weak, or not existent, as it were. I'll give you an example. I have worked across the country, and I've worked in a place called, today is called Tiati. There's a location called Silale in Tiati. It's East Baringo in Kenya. It's a Pokot community. One day I'm going for a peace building meeting, and along the way, I find a woman being wheeled on a wheelbarrow. There's now a wheelbarrow movement in Kenya, but at that time it's a wheelbarrow. Where is she going? She is having challenges to deliver a baby. And the reasons are obvious, because of FGM. So they are trying to get her as close as possible to where she can find healthcare. And she's down in Silale, and she's going to a place called Chemilinkot, and about 20 kilometers away. I told my driver, I think this is more important than the meeting we are going to. So I told him, I will turn the car, pick this lady, take her to hospital so that she can get her baby, come and get us, let's go to the meeting. The Pokots will wait for us for our meeting. So he did that. As we turned, then he told me, maybe you should come with me. I can't go just with these people. So I turned and went. Just about to get to the hospital, baby Kalia was born. We called the baby Kalia because we were going for a peace meeting. Kalia means peace. So the baby is born just like about a kilometer to the hospital. We get to the hospital, the mother is attended to, bled a lot. And that pained me extremely so. To see that here is a community in Kenya, close proximity to where the former president came from, same county, but yet a community that has been isolated, and the people who are bearing that pain is the women. I turned, after the meeting, of course we called the baby Kalia. There I asked them what is the name for peace. They said Kalia. He's now in Form 2 today. Baby Kalia is in Form 2. Let's thank God for him. So we turned back and looked for the clergy, Anglican clergy, who was leading us and helping us, and agreed that we will start something that can support the transformation of that community, so that then we stop the engagement in war and conflict, but also in this cultural practice that hurts girls and women. Today, if you go to Ginyang, there's a children's rescue center called Kana by Reverend Chachoi, that was born out of that experience that I had. And I share this just to say that if church is engaged and engaged positively, church is meant to transform communities and cultures and practices that are hurting. If you go to Kikuyu land, if you go to Western where I come from, there are many communities that circumcise their women, but they do not do so because faith pulled them out of that practice. Whereas there are things that faith might play as an obstacle, but to a greater extent, in this country, faith has been facilitative. Is it schools, education for women? The schools that our women have gone to in this country, by and large, started by the faith community. Hospitals and healthcare, a major player in that space, supporting mother-child health and engagement. Is it inclusion of women? Perhaps this is what we need to deal with in terms of inclusion in leadership, but not in the activities and processes of church. I think they are very mainstreamed. It is the leadership that I think we need to bring the voices of women. And I have taken it as a deliberate effort for me where I am. We did this at NCCK and we would like to do this at EAK to ensure that women are mainstreamed so that then decisions are not made for them and communicated to them, but they make the decisions together with their men colleagues and go to implement decisions that they own, that they have discussed and that they are using. But let me tell you the recent thing that I did the last, I think it's about 2 years ago. I got engaged with KICD in the writing of curriculum because we are revising and reforming our curriculum. And so in the learning area of religious education, Christian religious education, I wondered how can we pass on values, because values are so enshrined in this reformed curriculum. How can you use scripture to teach against gender violence? How do we protect our women using scripture? And we got into an argument with the writers, the teachers who are writing curriculum, and insisted we are going to use the story of Judah and his daughter-in-law, Tamar, which is an abuse, really, as it were. He gets engaged with his daughter-in-law, and then when he's told, he says, this girl should be killed. Then as he's trying to get her killed, he's told, you are that culprit. You are the one who has made her pregnant. You must protect her. You can't perpetrate the event and then be the one to seek her to be decimated. And then the story of the son of David and the sister Amnon's story. So argued about it a bit, but then the teachers allowed, and we got it into the curriculum content, year 4 of CRE, Christian Religious Education, to teach against gender violence and how to protect women, including our own sisters and friends of the opposite gender. And so the other day, I received a call from a parent who is complaining. Teachers have sent home this assignment, and this is the text. What do I do with my year 4 child? It's asking questions about rape. How do I explain this story? So I told her, please just explain. There is nothing else that you will do. I asked her, do you know what rape is? She said yes. Okay, if you know what it is, then you're going to explain to her so that nobody else is going to explain to her about rape. And I encouraged her. I told her, by the way, that scripture is in that curriculum because of my advocacy. And so I'm happy that actually you are dealing with that question yourself. Because as we have gone through COVID, you have heard of many girls that have been raped, many girls that have dropped out of school because of pregnancies and teenage pregnancy. So that story is there for you to explain. And we have gotten that in the curriculum, mainstream curriculum, to be able to advocate for the rights of women and deal with the GBV. And I'm proud of it myself.
I'm happy. Thank you. I couldn't stop you. And by the way, you have answered my follow-up question. Then we come to Hawa. Hawa is a young woman from the YW4A program. And I want you to share your experiences as a community member. Have you found that church is a safe space to advocate for women's rights? And what experiences have you had for you and your fellow young women in Kisii County in Kenya? Thank you.
To me, I found it to be a bit difficult with churches. Starting with my own experience, I come from a Muslim community. So coming from a Muslim community, just know the norms and the rules of Muslims. For example, when it comes to terms of family planning, we don't advocate so much for family planning, but I think with what we are doing with the YWCA, it's an amazing thing because they've managed to penetrate through the Muslim community in Kisii. And considering Kisii is one of the most notorious counties on the SGBV issues. Currently, we are at 34, while nationwide we are at 17%. So you can see Kisii is a very huge place and notorious for SGBV. So I can say to me, the Muslim community, they've not come through so much the way they're supposed to. Because most of our leaders can't talk about sex in our mosque. They feel like it's a taboo to even discuss it. And even our own mothers and fathers, they'll only talk to you when you're getting married. But as a girl growing up, they will not talk to you. So if you don't go out there as a woman and try to learn it on your own, which leads to a lot of things. The moment I go out there and start to find out how someone is being kissed, I'm being exposed to gender-based violence and sexually gender-based violence. So I can say as a community, they've not come through for us, but hopefully with the new project that we have with W4As, it will be a great impact on the society, and hopefully my community can come through and understand the reality that is out there for us youths.
Okay, so thank you. I am picking up two things. The faith sector can be a safe space for us to go to. We just need to engage them from within. Yeah.
Yes.
Based on this, yeah, do you think it's possible, therefore, as a champion, to go back and within the faith organization, start a conversation with whichever little capacity you have, as Hawa, as a young woman in Kisii County, to start a conversation within the church? How do you think that can happen? How can it look like?
It can happen because a lot of things are happening in Kisii. We have a case right now whereby there is old women who were lynched in Kisii County on claims that they are witches. And I believe as an organization and religion leaders, if you can go back to the society and educate them on issues of witchcraft and how we can eradicate it, as a church, we can do something big with them. And also as an organization, if we can pick some few things that we can relate with the churches together, not going against their rules, but just engaging them directly on what can be done, I think we can do something great with them.
Okay, thank you so much. I want to turn to the audience.
I have one question for you about the links, and still the links between the cross-cuttings of the strategy. It's very important that the strategies must work together. Okay, that's one of the main obstacles that sometimes we faced in Palestine, from how the justice sector works with other sectors. It's very important to understand it because we need many parties from these sectors and other sectors. Yes, we have a very rich also experience in Palestine as a judges inside the Sharia courts and inside the evangelical Lutheran court. And in the past, it was forbidden for the women to be as a judges inside the Sharia courts. We start since 2009. And I'm the first female as a judge in the appeal court and as a general attorney for the public right. And it's not the, the religious discourse, it wasn't easy at the first in Palestine. And but now we can say that every bad things, it's behind our backs, and we open the door for another female. It's very important. The experience, it wasn't easy, especially for my colleagues in the between communities. That's how well the women be a judge in the religious courts as a judge, and we will never accept their judgments and their rulings. It wasn't easy for us, but at the end, the constitution in the Palestine, we have a right to be a judge inside the Sharia courts, inside the civil court, and we are a judge as the females inside the regular courts since 18th of the last century. But inside the Sharia courts, it was forbidden for us. We are just 4 until now. Just 4, 3 in the first instance and 1 in the prosecution in the appeal court. And until now, we need more encouragement to be in as a decision maker and to open the doors to be a decision maker, because we want to reflect policies correctly on the ground, and the people all the time, the women especially, the women come to our office daily and tell us, look, judge, I want to tell you a lot of details. I cannot tell the male judges these details. And I want you to help me out of the doors, out of the court, because I don't want to pay a social price in the same time. So they need special interventions to help them sometimes, like a referral system. And we are, Sharia courts are a part of the referral system in the Palestine, with the civil courts, with the Ministry of Social Affairs, with the police. And in the same time, we are a part of the legal aid, and we will start with it. And the civil society help us a lot, because, we have a political classification. We cannot all the time help the vulnerable women in all the places. So because of that, it's important to be, as a woman inside the Sharia courts or a family courts, to help a woman, to listen to them, to know their needs, and to put them in a secret tracks when they want to go from to the point to other points, because all the time they are afraid. That's why.
Thank you. I thought I was raising my hand for a long time, so at some point I was almost giving up. But as we say, the road is good. I just want to echo 2 points that have been raised by Dr. Makanda. The first point is how to empower young people. How to empower young people and the instruments through which to empower them to become champions against gender-based violence. And he has talked about one, which is the curriculum, through which they are educated, and where knowledge can be introduced about sexual and gender-based violence. I know we've struggled with him for quite a bit on the issue of sexuality education for children, how it can be included in the curriculum. And we struggled, and of course, I'm happy that that particular component has now gone into the grade 4. I don't know what we'll do about the other grades, Reverend Dr. Makanda, but I'm happy that at least something has already gone in. And I know we struggled, and there are drafts that are somewhere. So that's one. The other point I think I want to mention is the issue of working from within the faith community. I think for me, and especially for people who are outside of the faith community, I want to encourage them to identify institutions that they can work with from the faith community. Because already you won't have to struggle to now build confidence, to now build trust. You already have other institutions you can work with. The problem that exists is that the rest of the civil society sometimes wants to start from ground zero, to start building relationships, building trust, building confidence with the religious institutions and the religious leaders. And by the time they are getting to a certain point, a lot of time has been lost, which they would have saved through partnering with other institutions that already exist. Reverend Dr. Makanda has spoken about the Evangelical Alliance of Kenya. That is an institution that already exists. Instead of now working with them, they work with other civil society who start from ground zero. Yet this institution already is established. It has the necessary structures. It has the necessary contacts. It knows how to engage with the faith community from ground zero all the way to the top. I think that is where sometimes we miss the point, and then we invest too much resources that would have gone into us getting change. Other than us getting change, then we remain in the process of trying to get that process established. So I want to again echo the importance, and I don't know why there is an echo. Oh. the importance of working with existing structures without necessarily reinventing the wheel. And Dr. Makanda and other friends there, I want to just acknowledge everyone that there's so much that is happening within the faith community. It just needs to be harvested, be documented, but then also we use opportunities like this to learn from each other and also share experiences. Thank you.
Thank you. We start with you, Doc, as we come to.
I think collaboration is important, because this is not something that one person can deal with and fight and finish independently. So no single institution has it all. So collaboration is going to be important. I mean, bringing in the medical practitioners, because they have the experience, they have the knowledge, they have the reasons why some things should not happen. Bring in the faith actors, because they are the ones who are gatekeepers. They are conservative, and some of the norms that they try to protect is not that they are entirely religious, but they speak of the cultural practice within which the scripture was written, and so sometimes also helping them to appreciate some context is important. Bringing in, I mean, women organizations and institutions, because the experience that women go through, especially the ones who have passed through this journey, they bring in knowledge and awareness that other people do not have. Then eventually, government, what's the place of government? Are we advocating? Are we lobbying? He talked about legislators. Are we educating them? Are we partnering with them so that as they play their role, they are conscious of the fact that they have this critical role to protect the society, and especially to protect the girl child against GBV. So I think my big word here is collaboration. Let's do this together. Thank you.
Okay, to me, what I think we should do, first I'll say we should be part of formation of policies as religious leaders. One, for example, you may find a policy is being formed, but the religious leaders are not part of it. So we should make an effort to be part of it and even help in the implementation of those policies. The second one is encourage the community and empower them with the basic laws. Maybe on Friday there or on Saturday, Sunday, when we are having our sessions, if you can just pick some few basic laws that can assist them to fight SGBV, just put it in between your preaching. I think it will be of great help for these people. And the last one is we should learn the new trends. As much as we are saying that we are fighting SGBV and it's ending, sadly, I can say it's not ending, and it will not end anytime soon. This is something that will be with us. Like in Kisii right now, for the FGM, we had thought that we had eradicated the practice of FGM. But currently in Kisii, we have the new trend that is done in the hospital with the newborns. Or when you're going to give birth as a woman, they cut you. So we should check on the new trends and see how we can assist each other to grow and empower our girls so that we can have a better society for tomorrow. Thank you.
Yeah, finally, I have a message for faith leaders, actually summarized in 3 words, so which is 3 A's actually. Our program is 4 A's, but now I have another 3 A's. Yeah, assess, act, achieve. Yeah, we as faith leaders need to assess our people needs. This is part of our work. This is the main part of our work, to assess needs and then to act toward these needs and then to achieve results upon acting on these needs. So these 3 A's, actually, this is the main role of perfect faith leaders that we need to be in our community. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I just want to answer his question. He was asking about what the forced marriage of the higher bidder. This is a cultural practice whereby some of the cultures auction young women. Like 2018, a young girl 16 was auctioned, and a man older like her father married her with 500 cows and 3 V8s. And then here it's kind of like
girls become a source of wealth to their families. As a result, it's very difficult because these families need to sell their girls to get more money. That's further. And then my conclusion is it is a collective responsibility for different areas. Whether you are in the human rights organization, whether they are women's rights organization, and then if you are a faith-based, including the government, all of us need to join hands together to fight sexual and gender-based violence in our community. If we do not put effort in the church, I think people listen. In the mosque, people listen to their leaders, and if you can use that platform to advocate for the SGBV, and then if we can advocate for the government to formulate policies to protect the rights of women and girls. This one will enable us, as we, the women's rights organization, are here at the background. So we need you to put us in front and push all this system to go so that we can be able to achieve. It's not a one day, but it's a process. And then we will reach there. Thank you.
Our goal for the session was moving from rhetoric to action. But upon reflection, I think we should reward that to rhetoric and action. One, rhetoric is important. Faith actors are hugely and highly significant in the process of building a narrative towards ending gender and based violence. It emerged and it became very clear that in our faith communities are home. They're not just places of prayer. They are home. They are places where people form values, and they are places where people norm and form. Therefore, the rhetoric in these spaces must speak out against the vice of sexual and gender-based violence. So rhetoric is very important. The power of language is very important, and it cannot be underscored enough. Then, moving from rhetoric to action, the action becomes necessary. It emerged from these discussions that faith actors must engage policymakers. They must work with cross-sectoral a harness of actors in the community. For example, if in those communities you find that victims of sexual and gender-based violence will run to a bishop before they run to the police to report the case. It must be the bishop role to work with the police, to work with the health sector, to work with the policy actors, and to work with everybody else in the system to support victims of gender-based violence. They must have conversations, continue having conversations on and on about these vices in the society, and then take this to the action forward in ending the process. Thank you.